Hi, this is Lenz. Hi, Lucy.
Hello.
Again, and I'm absolutely thrilled to do a tasting with you with 5 wines. It's a blind tasting. It's my first tele tasting in blind.
Excellent.
Obviously, it's going to be a little bit about China, but maybe there's some other wines as well. So let's have some fun.
Okay, great. Well, what would you like me to do? Should we just go through them? I've got one
Yes,
in my glass here.
Do them from left to right or from right to left.
Sure. So this is wine one. Did you want me to just say what I thought of it?
Yes,
or?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I know the wines. I know all the 5 wines. I've tasted them a couple of times before, and that's why I'm even daring to confront you with this.
Actually, I think before I taste, you should maybe explain a bit about Purple Air and just say why you've done this tasting, if that's all right.
Yes, absolutely. So Purple Air is something very, very special to us at the Chateau Chengdu Moser 15 because it marks a new era in our winemaking. It's our first ever icon wine we produced. It's my first vintage of this icon wine. It's my second vintage at the Chateau. And I've tried to come up with something which is typical to China, typical to the area, and also typical to the Chateau itself. So we're not copying anything. We try to go our own style. And as you will see, it's not a blockbuster like a Californian, a Napa wine, or an Australian. It's more on the elegant side. And I tend to think it's somewhere between Europe and America, if you like. But we want to retain the typicity and the character of Ningxia and the Chateau in particular. So that's what we have to try to put in the bottle. And we only made 6,300 bottles of this wine. And the name is also very, very special, if I may say this right at the beginning. 5 years ago, I was given a calligraphy from a Chinese person who is an expert on calligraphy. And Purple Air comes from the East, means all fortune comes from the East across the East China Sea.
Okay.
So it's very, very positive saying. And I took this up 5 years ago, and for quite some time, a good part of this 5 years, I was trying to find the grapes and the berries and the wine for this, because I thought this is a very personal thing to me. And as you might know, purple is my favorite color. And therefore I thought
got some great purple trousers, if I remember rightly.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when you have a look at the bottle, I mean, this is what it is. It's a beautiful bottle. It's a daring, it's a bold bottle. You can see from 15 meters across what it is. So this will be, the thing is not going to be changed in the next 10 years as it's for me. And here we go.
Okay, great. And just quickly, it goes on sale now, is that right?
It goes on sale now. We're launching it because COVID-19 was a little bit quicker than we could launch in the spring. And therefore, we decided, because I'm pretty aware that we cannot do proper launches in the next couple of months as we used to do in the past. But I really love to talk to people now on the internet, because then I have your 100% attention and vice versa. And provided that you have the wine, it's almost the same, especially since we know each other. And therefore I said, well, why don't we use modern technology a little bit more and get more digital? That's the future anyway. And here we are.
Great. Okay. Well, so I have 5 wines. I have no idea what they are. I've opened them blind. I managed to do it without looking at the cork. So crack on with the first one.
Very good. You picked wonderful glasses. I love them.
So thanks. That's a big Riedel. I'm not sure which grape it's supposed to be for.
No, it's absolutely perfect. It's big glasses because it's 5 big wines. It's 5 great wines, I should say. And
so I've tasted them all before the call, just to have a little idea. But I really like wine 3. I'd probably put it in about the middle of the lineup in terms of what my preference. It's got some lovely kind of black fruits, quite intense cedar, graphite, pencil shavings, all the kind of like stuff that you'd find on the left bank in Bordeaux. But it's quite a big wine. I imagine it's quite young, but I really did I did like that one. I don't know if you wanted to give any comments on this wine yourself, but I know you know what it is.
We picked 5 wines, and it is 5 of my favorite wines, of course, because I don't want to do the French bashing or American bashing or whatever. No, I just would like to be able to sit on the same table with our wine
benchmark
as other great wines. And that's the game I'm playing, because the difference between these wines is not the quality to my taste, it's the style.
Yeah.
And of course, the whereabouts of the wine. And therefore, I think it's an interesting tasting. There's one wine which people always forget about. It's a wine from Spain, there as well. Very, very, it's the second wine of a big wine in Spain. And therefore, it's something very, very special. It's very delicate. It comes from a very good region in Spain. And then there's also one Australian wine in there. From a highly, highly regarded estate or company or winery in Australia.
Maybe you shouldn't tell me yet because
okay.
Yeah, it's slightly making me think differently. So it's better if it's
I tell you one thing, there's no Bordeaux in there.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's very interesting.
I did not do it on this flight because I thought it's we only have 5 wines, and I thought I give you a taste from around the world. Because Bordeaux would have been too easy. Because you smell it and you know it immediately. The other wines are a little bit more tricky, so you'll be surprised when we disclose.
Well, it's interesting because of all the wines, I thought wine 2 might be most likely Bordeaux, like a left bank, but with a bit of age on it. It's got a slightly lighter ruby, almost going into the brick color. Delicious, kind of really autumnal, almost Burgundian in that kind of way. Lovely, like leafy. Again, that kind of secondary aroma is going through, meaty. I really love this one. The main thing for me of this wine was the texture. It was just like absolute silk. It was really, really beautiful. Go down. I loved it.
Yeah, it's 5 really nice wines, and I've done this similar tasting in Hamburg. It was the last and only tasting we did with these wines with 50 people at the club in Hamburg. Because I wanted to test the water with some of my friends and consumers. And they were just, at the end, we got standing ovations because people were completely blown away which wine. Yeah. And I was very nervous before, and that's why I'm daring to put you through this little exercise, because what we're trying to do is to give you sort of a benchmark. So you can put our wines in an order, not ranking them, but you judge yourself where we stand already. And mind you, what you have on the table from us is my second vintage. Yeah? So it's a long way to go. It's the beginning, as Bob Mondavi would say, and the best is yet to come. But it's already good enough for me to put myself under this stressful situation.
So wine 3, obviously more intense on the color, slightly closed, a little bit shyer than the others. Some lovely kind of black fruits, blackcurrant, cassis, forest fruit, quite inky.
Yes.
Again, silky palette, perfumes, really, really nice. I enjoyed this one as well.
It's the most, in theory, wine 3 should be the most flowerful.
I definitely got that.
And with lots of stuff going on, cornucopia of flavors and those, Nikki put them in the aluminium foil. Very good.
So I would imagine that was from the New World, but who knows? I could be wrong. I love the freshness of wine 4. It's got a real kind of elegance, kind of lightness. It's got this quite deep color, but this amazing kind of lightness of touch, which I really enjoyed. Again, pretty much all of them had really good tannin management, which was really nice.
Yes. I'm glad you say this because I love soft tannins.
Definitely, I noticed that.
Strong tannins at the same time, because in order to make a wine last, you need good tannin structure and a ripe tannin structure. And wine number 4 has, to me, the perfect tannin management of all of these wines, if I may say.
And it's it's very elegant on the nose, but quite a lot of power going on the palate as well.
You're absolutely right. Yes, true.
So wine number 5.
Wine number 5.
So the first thing I noticed about this was the color, which was a bit lighter, which took me back to wine number 2. And actually quite a lot about this wine took me back to wine number 2, which was probably my favorite. So I'd say this was my second favorite. It has this lovely kind of earthiness, savoriness, red fruits, kind of elegance. Again, the word Burgundian, but I do think there's a bit of that kind of like elegance of Pinot that you might find.
Yeah, if you say elegance, that's what I call this wine is also more on the elegant side, on the fresh side of life. very drinkable. It's also from the alcohol management. If it's the one I'm thinking you're tasting, then it's also something which is leading a way to the future for the wine industry per se as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, so these are all 5. So what shall I do? The big reveal?
Well, I tell you one thing, from left to right, from the first one, just open the foil and disclose the wines.
Okay.
Because I'm curious myself, but from what you have said, I'm pretty sure that you have the right tasting order.
Okay. Right, let's hope I can do this quickly for the camera.
It's always a little bit, but Nikki has used a lot of foil. Very good.
Oh my goodness, wow. Vega Sicilia.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Valbuena is one of my absolute favorite wines. It's worth the money. It's a great vintage, and it's one of my absolute favorites. And
thank you. Wow.
Spain, you know.
Spoiling me, Lenz.
It's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So wine number 2 you liked, I think.
I liked a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What got here. It's your one.
Yeah. It's Grauber, yeah. It's Grauber, and it's been aged in wood for 2 years, and it's been bottled a year ago. So that's why it's perfect to drink now.
Great.
But next 10 years, it's going to be a blast anyway.
That is really, really lovely. Yeah. That's a really lovely wine.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's the cheapest of all of them, by the way, or the least expensive.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were 2 of yours in there, Lenz. I thought it was just the purple air. So.
Yeah, maybe there's a second one as well.
Penfolds. So we got Penfolds.
This is my favorite Penfold wine. I know there's Grange, and I know there's 707 and 407, whatever. But this is the right balance between Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz. It's also not a very expensive wine. It's a €100 wine in Europe, but it's a blast to me. And I'm glad you liked it for the fruit. And the intensity and everything, so it's really cool. And number 4 is also something which is kind of nice.
Wow, Opus 1, my goodness.
Yeah, well, I couldn't help it because I've been selling these wines in my Mondavi years. So I always go back to this because for me, it's still a benchmark throughout the world. It's something very special.
Gosh, wow, this really is quite the tasting, Lenz. You've given me a treat on a Friday.
Yeah.
I can drink these over the bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, because
without further ado,
here we go with Purple Air, the last one.
The artfully stained label now.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's no problem at all as long as you like the wine and as long as you're able to show the elegance. Because this is, you said it. This is, I think, so important that I went from blockbuster because wine number 2 is much bigger. But I think the future for Nisha is more on the elegant and the fresh side.
I don't know if people can see this, but this is genuinely, I had no idea what the wines are. It's backwards, but it says favorites are 2 and 5. So
I got lucky here, but you know, you cannot plan on this, but I'm really happy.
Interesting though. Wow.
Produce for the consumer and for you guys to judge us at the end of the day, because my bills and the people's bills back in China are paid by the consumer at the end of the day on a global basis. And that's what where we're going for. So, but hey.
Well, maybe I like the 2 of them because they were made by the same person in that same elegant, lighter style, which is my kind of style of red anyway. So you're obviously making wines that suit my palate. So hopefully other people will enjoy them. But that's been a really interesting tasting. And for them to really stand out against those top wines is really exciting.
This is very important to me and to us at the Chateau, because we make wine to drink, and we make wine to be enjoyed with and without food. Because I always go back to one of my mentors, and it's known that Bob Mondavi was a personal mentor for 30 years for me. And he always say, let's go out and make friendly wines. Yeah. Friendly in a sense that they are not too cerebral, so you don't have to know too much in order to understand them.
Exactly.
And the second one is equally important, food-friendly wines. And that's what I'm trying to do, especially for China. You cannot work with too much harsh tannins because with the Chinese food, you know, the hot food and everything, the spices and everything. So, and we sell these wines very successfully also in China, not just overseas. And therefore I came up with this style, which is very, very friendly altogether.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm really impressed, and it's a really exciting kind of signal of what China can do. And if anyone was doubting the quality that can be made in China, they just need to taste this wine and they'll be proved wrong. So congratulations. I think that's...
Yeah, so you were the first one ever on this globe to have done this tasting in a way like this, and I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you very much.
So yeah. I will do this more in the future because I feel encouraged. Thank you.